Hi guys, and welcome to Dee's Media World. Today I'll be talking about something that's actually something I never talked about on my channel before, but it's actually the Legend of Korra season finale, or series finale too, actually. The show just ended about the other night, I think it was Thursday night, and it was awesome. And I normally would not have something to say about this show in a video, but I wanted to address, I guess, some of the obvious things I thought about the finale. Overall, my initial feelings about the show. I love Avatar, the original show. I actually just my first time watching it actually was last year, and I just loved it. And it was kind of one of those "where have you been my whole life" kind of shows, and I had just seen it for the first time. But in terms of Korra, I also started it I think last year. So I basically caught up on all the seasons, and I'm pretty sure I saw two for sure, 2 through 4, which were the last 3 seasons, like when it was airing, like online and stuff. And I've really enjoyed the show. I like it. It's had its problems, but honestly, it's been consistently beautiful. And Korra, especially starting in season 3, has had consistent character development, and she's grown a lot as a character, which she needed to, because she really was probably one of my least favorite characters initially, and now she's a good character now. I don't actually have a favorite character for this show. The original show, my favorite character was Zuko. But anyway, in terms of the season finale, what I want to address is a couple of things I liked about it, and what I don't know if there was anything I didn't like, but some of my favorite things were things I did not expect to like a lot. The first one being Varric and Zhu Li and their relationship, because never before, like the second to last episode or so, one of the episodes in season 4, when he saves her life, and he makes the machine, it explodes, and he saves her life from falling off the train. I never even thought before then about them being a couple. So when this whole thing, when he asked her to marry her and they get married at the end, I was blown away by how much I actually liked it and thought how much sense it made. I almost felt stupid as a viewer, like, why didn't I think of them being together before? Maybe it was because it was such a teacher professor sort of relationship, servant sort of. She was kind of his servant, that I never thought about them actually being in love and being married and having a relationship. So when it happened, I was surprisingly really supportive and really happy, and I was like, why didn't they do, why haven't I thought of that before? I couldn't believe how I felt about it, because normally something like that would have felt like it was out of nowhere, but I actually really liked it. I like the things they did. I like Kuvera a lot in the season, and she might have been my favorite villain from the whole Korra show. I'm not sure if it's because there's something about her attitude that really is fun to watch. Like, she's very militant, but she can hold her own. She talks a lot of. She's one of those characters who can talk smack, but she can hold. She's serious. She can actually pull it off. Like when she fights Korra in probably episode 6 of this season, and she wins. It's like because she can do that. Like, she knows she could win this fight, and she would have lost if Korra had the nerve to kill her, because that was basically almost a fight to the death kind of thing. But when Kuvera, it's like she can back it up for some reason, and that really makes her seem awesome. And it's funny to watch, and like the whole thing with her betraying her fiance. I'm kind of just talking about random things that happen in the show, but her betraying her fiance, I was like shocked, but actually laughing at the same time, because she's that kind of character. She's the kind she is so bent on doing things the way she wants to do them, that she was kind of like, sacrifices have to be made. And I find that really interesting, and I love the talk that her and Korra have at the end of the season, in the last episode, where they sit and talk, and she's like, you and I are actually more similar than we think. And I actually love that. I was like, well, it made them both seem more human. Like, it wasn't like Kuvera was just a villain. And I would say Zahir from the last season wasn't just a villain, but I kind of like this idea that, this character had a reason for what she was doing. She was blaming Korra almost, for why things were the way they were, because Korra wasn't doing her job those 3 years. So it was, I don't know, there was something about Kuvera I just loved watching. in terms of that. I love seeing Toph this season. I don't know who wouldn't want to see Toph. She's one of the best. I wish she was actually there more than I expected her to be, considering because she was in at least 3 episodes. She was in like the episode where Korra sees her for the first time, and then the episode after that where she's in the swamp with her, like almost that whole episode, and then the episode when she saves her daughter. Like she was there a lot more than I expected her to be, which was not. It was more than a cameo. I put it that way. Katara was also in like episode 1 or so of this season, and I thought we might have saw her in the finale, but that's okay. I'm gonna talk about that later. How I feel about like not seeing enough characters. I love the mech machine was pretty intense. I believe that it was really, really hard to bring down, and it took like everybody putting their all into bringing it down. Mako almost died doing it, and I'm positive he was gonna live. I don't think the show was gonna go that dark, but wow, I was like he almost died doing this. He really can stand his own ground and everything. I think I really enjoyed that. Bolin I like. He just gets on my nerves, and he's like that friend who talks too much, and I usually I'm annoyed by people who talk too much, to be honest. And that's probably why I was never like a huge Bolin. I like him. He's just an idiot kind of thing, and I want to this is glaring a little bit, but I'm glad things worked out with him. He had some redeeming moments in this season. I liked Varric. I really like Varric. He's really funny. So in terms of one more thing before I get to like the big thing, at least right now, is in terms of since the show is over, I know probably some people are disappointed not to see certain things. We do learn that one of Toph's baby daddies, or Lynn's mom, Lynn's dad was they learned his name. I don't remember what his name is, but we learn it. And it was what I figured it would be. I was really shocked Bolin asked, because he so boldly asked, like, who's her dad? And I'm like, is that your business? But it's more than implied that, Lynn doesn't even know who her dad is like that. She knows his name. We don't know any more than she knows. So that kind of makes sense to me. I never really was like super invested in knowing who Toph's, like, who the father of her children were, just because I felt like they weren't going to be important ever. Like, it happened 50 something years ago. She probably had like maybe a slightly romantic relationship or something, and then it just failed, and that was that. And she got a baby out of it. Like that's kind of what Toph is saying. Like she and whoever the father of Lynn is just didn't work out, and that's all that really mattered. I know some people might have been disappointed. We don't even know who Sue's dad is. And I'm like, it doesn't matter, because to us they're really just names. As far as I'm concerned, they're just names. Like, we're not going to need to know, like, a big background. The only thing I was curious about was if they were actually earthbenders or not, like Toph is. I'm assuming they are because both of them are earthbenders. I don't know. But the big thing about the show in the finale is the last couple minutes, like the last 2 minutes, which is the Korra and Asami pairing. And I say pairing because I know some people think that it's like, it's implied, or it's not implied, it is implied, but that it's subtle. No, it's subtle. That it's not obvious that they could be, like, it's up for interpretation. And I've come to like smash those dreams, because to me it is clearly clear that they are either A, a couple, or B, about to be a couple. And the reason that I have like 3 solid reasons why I think the show ends with them being a couple, or that they are a couple and not just friends. The first one being that when they decide they're going to go on vacation, they hold hands, and something about the way they hold hands does not feel like 2 friends holding hands. I know some people have argued and were like, oh, they're friends, friends hold hands, but they don't really hold hands like that, and they don't, that look, which kind of is my, still kind of my first reason, is the look that they give each other at the very end. And there's something there. It's romantic. It doesn't have to be, one of the big things that I liked about their pairing is, I know some people thought it was random or out of nowhere, but if you watch it, it's actually kind of subtly implied since like season 3, at least to me. Like, they could be a couple. Like, the beginning of season 3, Korra and Asami have like this conversation about Mako or whatever, and there's something about them that I was like, I could see them being a couple, because it would be simple between them, and it would be a simple like relationship. It wouldn't be overcomplicated and stuff. Like there's something about them, two of them, that just works. I can't really explain it. And maybe the creators didn't know how to explain it either, because they don't really, it's subtle. It's very subtle. Like the fact that in this season, Korra only has written letters to Asami, or that I couldn't help but notice in the episode The Reunion, which I think is like episode 7 or so, or 8, when Asami compliments her hair, Korra blushes and stuff like that. Like Korra doesn't blush. She's not a character who gets embarrassed. So I don't know, things like that. It's really subtle, really small. Some people might think what's funny on the opposite side, I think some people thought it was obvious. I wouldn't go as far as say it was obvious, but I did feel that they liked each other. But my second reason is that I felt like, or maybe that was my third, but the next reason, it doesn't matter. The next reason is that the fact the show ends with them holding hands and looking at each other. That's really what kind of solidified for me, is that look, but also the fact that it ends that way. The series ends with that look. And I was like, if they were just friends, they wouldn't need to look at each other like that. If they were just friends, the show wouldn't have ended on them going to the spirit world together. I think it's just obvious, and things don't have to be point blank obvious for us as viewers to get it, to see that they were romantic. And it doesn't have to mean that they may not even be a couple yet. They could be about to be a couple or something. Like they might not be girlfriend or something. But I really appreciated that they trusted us as viewers enough to make it subtle. Like they're never gonna, it's a kids show, it's a kids network. They're never gonna straight up and say, yeah, they're lesbians or bisexual. They would be bisexual actually, but they're a couple or something. They're not gonna straight up tell us. The creators aren't gonna straight up say that. But because of that, but they have trust in us to know they could take it there and people would understand it. Because I know some people are arguing that they're not a couple. My first reason is because the holding hands and the look. It's really the look that made me totally sure that they were a couple. And the second reason is because the fact that it ends sort of in that way. And the third reason is kind of that it's been subtly hinted at throughout the show. Those are kind of what really made me think, yeah, they're a couple. They don't have to make out for us to get that they're together. That's basically what I'm saying. And I really liked it, and I couldn't believe how much I liked it, and it's funny because I never thought that they would actually be a couple in the show. Like, fan fiction, sure. Like, it doesn't take much in a fanfic to bring two people together. But I know for some, they might have felt like fan service. And I would have agreed, because when I first watched that ending, I thought, this could be left to interpretation, because I don't feel like romantic tension necessarily between the two of them. But when I watched this a second time, I was like, wait, that doesn't feel like, when they hold hands and they look at each other, it doesn't feel like two friends to me anymore. And then the way they have a conversation doesn't feel like, it could feel just like friends, but it doesn't have to be overly romantic because there are some couples who are like that. They don't have they don't have the tension between them in that way. It's a simple relationship. So they like each other, and they move on. Like, it doesn't have to be a certain way for us as viewers to get it, and it doesn't have to be a certain way for the relationship to be, for them to be romantic. But that look they gave each other, that's really what solidified it for me. And I was like, yep, they're definitely a couple. And anyone who thinks otherwise, thinks they're just friends, is either in denial, or they just, like some people, just didn't see it coming. And I wouldn't say I necessarily saw it coming. I never thought they would go there, but I was like, if they could be together, that would make sense. They would just make sense. Like, it didn't have to be overanalyzed or anything like that. It just would make sense. And the show is so good at sort of breaking barriers. Like, one of the things I love about Korra most, Avatar does it well too, but Korra probably does even better, is that they incorporate gender as secondary. It's never really important that one character is, a woman and another character is a man. Like, there are plenty of female characters who kick butt in the show and have different roles in society. Some are mothers, some are teachers, some are, in the military, some can fight, some take care of their husbands. I noticed, like, Kuvira, one of the things, like, with Kuvira, her fiance Bahir is a man, and he had no problem, like, in any other world, he would probably have an issue with her being in control. And he pretty much is loving that she has power. And I find that so intriguing. because you never see that on television. But what the thing I love about it too is that it's not emphasized on. It just is. It just exists. Like there's female characters who are leaders and things like that, but people aren't disrespecting them in the show because they're women. It's just disrespect. And the same with race. So I love Legend of Korra for that. I'm glad it had a great series finale, and I would love to read the comics again. So that's it for me. This video went on long enough. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.